So I don't know if you guys have heard of this show called Squid Game, right? Because fuck! So I've been wanting to talk about PSG for quite some time, and I think this is pretty much the perfect time to do it. Over the weekend, PSG played this huge, star-studded lineup against Rennes and lost 2-0. Now listen, right, obviously there can be flukes here or there, but there's a much bigger problem when it comes to PSG. And that's what I'm here to talk about. So let's just start off with how PSG begun the season, and a lot of people saw them as the winners of the summer transfer window, obviously. PSG purchased Achraf Hakimi for 60 million, who scored 7 goals and assisted 8 in Serie A last season. Then they brought in the free transfers of Gini Wijnaldum, Gianluigi Donnarumma, and Sergio Ramos. And also, let's not just forget, right? Lionel Messi. Barcelona were in shambles. Even a 50% pay cut wasn't enough to keep Messi at the club, and all the pieces just kind of fell into place for PSG, and they landed Messi. Once Messi was revealed, social media went absolutely wild, and many fans like myself were considering PSG as massive favorites to win the Champions League. Bringing in Messi was what I believed was going to finally be the catalyst for them to not underperform every single match. Even if they had to rely on individual performance, it was Lionel Messi we were talking about. Because as we all know, PSG have had a long history of underperforming. They have had some star-studded lineups. Nothing like this one we are seeing this year, but very good teams. Even last year when they made it to the semi-finals, you saw a good amount of underperforming. PSG were extremely lucky to get past Bayern Munich because, well, Bayern Munich didn't have Robert Lewandowski. So all Bayern could do was rely on Choupo-Moting to be that placeholder and be that Lewandowski for them, which he isn't. And you realized just how lucky they got when they faced Manchester City. They were terrible in both legs. But as I've said before, things are a-changing. Messi has arrived. PSG can finally actually be considered the biggest favorites. Not really. Nothing has changed. It's honestly gotten worse.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
Let's talk about Club Brugge, a team that PSG should have beat. Even if it was away at home, you have this star-studded lineup, M&M as your front three, and you still can't beat Club Brugge. But all credit to the Belgian side, whose high pressing was the reason why PSG struggled so much. Not one single player of M&M was effective throughout that entire match.
Vazou o treino de hoje aqui no Psg, Neymar, Mbappé, Messi.
I think Ander Herrera was the sole scorer for PSG that night too. Lyon used that same high-pressing approach that Club Brugge used, and on a different day, they would have beaten PSG. And then let's talk about Man City, because obviously people are going to argue the fact that, well, PSG beat Man City 2-0. 2-0, pretty solid scoreline. That scoreline flatters PSG. I mean, at times it looked like Man City was just dominating PSG. Hell, it was so bad from the PSG midfield at times that I would be seeing the defenders playing Route 1 football to Mbappe. We're talking about PSG here. Playing Route 1 football with an M&M front line. And there's another conversation that people need to have. Messi with PSG, he's a bit of a liability in some aspects. And think about it this way, right? If you've watched a PSG match, have you seen Messi when the opposition has the ball? The dude is literally just on a leisurely walk as everyone else is sprinting back to get the ball. Messi got away with this versus City, but at times it left massive gaps for impact players like Kevin De Bruyne to buy time for a pass. And just keep in mind, right, it's not just Messi who has this issue, right? Because Mbappe doesn't do any defending or tracking back, really. Neymar does a little bit. I at least saw just a tad bit against Man City, but again, it's the same problem for him. I mean, you will see frequently, due to the fact that these attackers will not track back, a whole ass 7-0-3 formation. But here's the thing, even with all these negatives, Messi did still find his first goal for PSG against Manchester City, and that's still pretty incredible. But I can't help but say, Lionel Messi definitely is much different from years past. He looks more like a moments player. And that's nothing bad, and I don't think that's going to take away from his legacy, because I'm sure he's going to score some bangers. But still, I think people just have to keep that in mind. He's definitely not going to be that same player that we've seen years past. Let's talk about PSG and Liga a little bit more. They're currently first in the league. 8 wins, 1 loss. The recent one being against Rennes. And you look at this like, okay, well, PSG look really good in Liga, right? Even in Liga, this team is scrapping wins. Like, I'm not even joking. Newly promoted Troyes in PSG's first match, I'm pretty sure, were very unlucky to not get a point from that match. Same with Strasbourg. They were 3-0 down, came back, and about nearly grabbed the point. Brestois and PSG were going at each other from end to end, and Brestois managed to get 11 shots to PSG's 16 despite having 30% of the possession. Pretty much the only convincing victory that PSG have had this season is against Clermont Foot. But even though PSG won that match 4-0, they were outshot 14-13. And of course, we go back to the Rennes match where they literally lost with this squad. I mean, say what you want about the unpredictability of this game, but still, this team should not be losing 2-0 to Rennes. So now it all comes down to what exactly is the issue for PSG. It just feels like a good amount of the stuff from previous years, but much worse. Firstly, right, there's no cohesion between the three lines. PSG's midfield continuously disappoints. The only player that makes that midfield look actually competent is Marco Verratti, but only his world-class abilities can do so much. Another thing that kind of builds onto that lack of cohesion: the fluidity. It's really not there. And it kind of goes back to PSG and its dependency on star players like, you know, M&M, their entire front three. And it's not like you're relying on the entire front three, you're only relying on one player.
And that was PSG demonstrating why teamwork is important.
There doesn't seem to be any fluidity or any chemistry amongst those front three too. And when none of these individual star players can perform, you see a match like Rennes. But another issue is their defense. PSG have conceded a decent bit. As I've said before, Strasbourg were 3-0 down and still they managed to almost get a draw. Brestois got 2 goals against them. Lyon got a goal. They probably should have had like 3. Sergio Ramos has been gone, so if he comes back, does he fix this? Maurizio Pochettino has had more than enough time to figure out this club. He's been here for at least a year now, I think. But when you have all these amazing star players with such unique qualities, and you can't get a win against Rennes, I think there's a massive problem, and I definitely think that Pochettino's time is very much ticking down. That's all I'm going to say about PSG. It is very early on into the season, so obviously things can change. But unless Pochettino, and also you gotta put some blame on M&M who haven't done f***ing anything, but if nothing changes, I can't help but see Bayern or Chelsea or City absolutely demolish this team in the knockouts. But what do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think PSG will get much, much better as we go on through the season? I mean, it's very early on. It's only a little sample we have right now. I'd love to hear what you guys think down below, but shout out to our patrons, Lewis, Emmett Shea, Dominic Griffin, Joseph Bonfante, and Tomicus. If you want to join the Patreon, there's a link down below, and also there will be an annotation on the video. But be sure to follow my Twitter for some video updates. Follow my Instagram if you want. Follow my TikTok. Trying to get to 2,000. It might happen one day. And also follow my Twitch, which is weirdly almost at 500. So yeah. But until then, I'll see you guys.